very rich in this society is to build a platform where other people can build platforms and make money off it. But now there was a problem. There's a statement that people say that all my followers on Instagram, on Twitter, are they truly my followers and fans, or they're actually Twitter's own users? What that means in a nutshell is that if today Facebook bans me, or if today Twitter bans me, I lose all my followers and fans. And then I can go to court and complain about it, and Twitter can say, well, we violated some of their terms and conditions, and then they'll ban me. But then I've spent years building my followers. I've spent years building building trust, building content to have people to stay there. And then all of a sudden, this infrastructure shut me down. It's not fair. If you follow the news 2 years ago, you find out that there's a popular game called Fortnite, whatever. They actually sued Facebook, and they actually sued Apple. And why did they sue Apple? Apparently, if you own an app on Apple takes 30% of your revenue because they give you a market. And then these people are saying we're making billions, if not zillions, of naira or billions of US dollars on your platform. And I don't think it's fair for me to dash you 30% of it, because the only thing you do for me is just to allow people to download from your app store, which doesn't make sense. But now they went to court and I was complaining. To me, as an African, I feel that is bullshit. I give you the opportunity to make money, and then you don't need to enjoy from your own benefit. But then their own side, all of them have their own metrics or merits to their argument, right? So now everyone felt, and I'm not happy with the fact that you build infrastructure, I made your infrastructure beautiful. Oh, for footballers, the moment Cristiano Ronaldo went to Juventus, DSTV opened a new channel to be showing Syria or something. I don't watch football. Just because Cristiano Ronaldo went to that new platform. And then now, it's not fair, right? So everyone said, okay, we wanted something better. We wanted to own the product, we wanted to own our stuff, even though he gave us the ability to do that. And that's what gave birth to something called the Web3. And then for the Web3, it was coined as something called blockchain. So Web 1 was read, Web 2 was read and write, then Web 3 is write over write, and Web 3 is blockchain. Now, what the hell is blockchain? So now, for developers, there's something called a front end and a back end. The front end is where you see everything. The back end is what stores all the information on everything. And now, the reason why a lot of people don't really get the concept of blockchain that much is because it's a back end infrastructure. Back end infrastructure really is just a set of codes and instructions that tells you what to do, and then you happen to put skin on it to make sense of it. So blockchain gave us the ability to store information somewhere else, and then no one has the right to take control of it. I'll give you an example. So the concept of blockchain actually came up in 1991, and then these people said, since a lot of people now are sending PDFs, emails via the internet, or documents via the internet, how do we make this document more legit, that somebody cannot corrupt it? In the sense that if I send you an e-copy of a contract, if I send you the doc file, you can actually modify it and claim I sent you this, and then we might have a dispute. So they said, okay, why should we do something like, if I send you the email or I send you the documents, it will have a timestamp on it. It made sense, but then it didn't catch up. But then it catched up in 2009 when someone launched the first blockchain and made it open source, which is known as Bitcoin. So, do you understand the concept called distributed ledger? What that means is, imagine your database, MySQL, whatever you want, whatever database you use. Imagine everyone having access to it. Imagine everyone having the ability to change whatever they want to change in it. The whole idea of it is scary because imagine Facebook giving you the source code to Facebook and then you changing something on Facebook. Like, it's crazy. It's that crazy that in 2015, or is it 2016, www.google.com was open for sale by mistake, and then somebody bought google.com, and then when he bought it, Google found out their mistake and then they reverted it 10 minutes after. So some legal parties, the news went viral, and then people said at that 10 minutes the person that owned Google for that 10 minutes actually owned everything that belongs to Google. Crazy. I mean, you can talk about it, but now if it was like 1 year, 2 years, now Google cuts now. We go here with story that touch. So that's the concept there. So having a distributed ledger, which is known as a block, it had three things. It had something called the data, it had something called the hash, it had something called the previous hash. So if they were going to give people access to the database so that you can rewrite or do whatever you want to do, they have to make it in a way that people will not just change it because they want to change it. For example, I don't have a Wikipedia page, but if I decide to create a Wikipedia page, any of you can actually go and change or modify my Wikipedia page. Are you aware? Wikipedia is actually open source. Anybody can change anything. Because of that, now people are start protecting top rated persons so that not everybody can change it. So let's say Buhari, before Buhari became Buhari that we know, you can go and change Buhari as you can say ex Boko Haram member and then no one will do anything. That's crazy, right? So blockchain had to look at this from a different angle. So the concept blockchain, the concept blocks, the concept data hash previous hash. So they said, okay, this source code, we'll name it as blockchain, and then the data is going to be called block, and then the communication from one block to one block is through a chain. In the name block and chain. If people were lazy or maybe they're drunk, then it just made sense, blockchain. So each block has three factors, but then again it depends on the blockchain. And just so you know, we have multiple blockchains that exist today. So I'm going to use blockchain. I'm going to use Bitcoin's blockchain as a case study. I know a lot of you use Ethereum, but Bitcoin is the original or the first. So I'll use that for my analogies. So block data. So inside the data of Bitcoin, it has where the coin is coming from and where the coin is going to and the address only. Then it's been stored on the first block. Then the second block has the same thing. Then the third blocks have the same thing. So now the first block is called a genesis block. Why is it called a genesis block? Because it's the first block. It's not linked to anything. It's the origin story. It's patient zero. It's where the whole block starts from. So the first block was launched by the owner, and then the data shows where it's coming from, where it's going to, maybe the address, and then the amount. So the hash is something called, it's like imagine your unique identity. Each of the blocks has a unique identity. It's like a thumbprint. If you've gone to a web browser and you went to your bank account, you see some crazy codes on the top. So imagine that as a hash. And then it has the hash of the previous block itself. So if you look at the block itself, each block is pointing to a previous block, which each block has its own unique hash. So can I have two people? Sorry, I'm a visual person. Let me have two people, please. Who wants? Okay, just talk, please go. So far, is everyone getting my explanations? If you don't understand something, just wave and I'll stop it. So she's taller than me. I'm taller than him. So let's imagine this is the genesis block. At least it makes sense. So please just stay here. So block 1 and it's block 2. So for me to communicate with him, I need to have the previous hash, which links to him. And then I have the information that he sent me money, and then I have money. So he sent me 1 Bitcoin to Victor. So what's your name? So now I'm sending 1 Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoin to Abdul. Now, if you go to Abdul's block or you go to the next block and you read it, it's going to show you money was sent from Victor, someone called Abdul, and then Abdul's unique, the block's unique identity known as hash, then the previous identity known which is linked to Victor's hash. Now, if by mistake you go and change something on this block, automatically the hash changes. Then he gets disconnected because the moment the information comes and is trying to link to the original block, it cannot link because I have the record of where the hash is coming from. And then remember, he has changed it. So that way, you cannot alter information. Does that make sense? I'll use it again. With that way, you cannot alter information. But guess what? We're developers, and our job is to find problems in the system and exploit it to make money or to improve it, right? So we found out that there are computers, this hash can happen in milliseconds. So that means that if I can change his hash very fast and change everybody's hash very fast before verification, I can take control of the blockchain. That makes sense. I can pay maybe $50,000 to own a quantum computer, and then I'll make these changes, and nobody can stop us. So because of that, they introduced something called proof of work. Now, the concept of proof of work was basically to slow the system down so that a block can only be created every 10 minutes. So for Bitcoin, a block is being created every 10 minutes. And because of that, it slows down the verification of a new block. So now, instead of you creating multiple blocks and taking control of the blockchain system, a new block is being created 10 minutes. Between 10 minutes, you can verify to know if all the networks have been corrupted or is accurate. Does that make sense? So now, to make it open source, it exists in everybody's system. If today the government destroys every single access to Bitcoin, I have the Bitcoin source code on my phone, and I can send it back, and then just with that information, all the Bitcoin server will come back live. That's how stupid and how crazy and how amazing Bitcoin technology is. And that's what we mean true power around everybody. This is my phone actually, it's not a hardware. So it's not that big, and I think it has up to 200 gig space. So let's continue. So they created something called proof of work that allows you to verify registrations, information going on in the Bitcoin itself. So after that, they found out that there was some issues too. Now this solved the problem. It was amazing. It did amazing stuff. But now the question is, how can we improve this system? Today, there's something called 1G, there's something called 2G, there's something called 3G, 4G, and now we're swimming in 5G, and very soon 6G is coming up. Because what? Technology keeps evolving and keep evolving. So developers kept asking themselves, how can we improve this blockchain system? How can we improve this blockchain technology? Then it's okay, fine. How can we write, since blockchain is decentralized, how can we write codes inside this blockchain itself? Then they invented something called smart contract. Why is it smart? Because it lives on the blockchain. There's nothing smart about it. So because the blockchains cannot, the moment you create a blockchain and send it out, you cannot change it again. So if you're going to bring a new version of that blockchain, you have to say it's version 2, version 3, version 5, whatever version you want. But then, for you to write on the current blockchain to give additional support or make corrections on it, something called smart contract was invented. It's a conversation for another day. So, what are some applications that we can use for this blockchain? Now, just a recap on blockchain. Blockchain is something that is distributed. Blockchain is something, it's a distributed database, meaning everybody have access to it. Blockchain is something that anybody, whoever you are, can add to it. They don't care as far as you follow the protocols and the rules and regulations. And then nobody can change it when it's been added. So I'm going to give you 9 examples of use cases of blockchain. Then to show you like, oh yeah, this is actually cool. So the first example is something, maybe this is the first time you hear about it, but if you've ever had the privilege to follow someone to come buy a car, or you've gone to buy a car, you know they'll say you should check the mileage, because there's only a handful of people that actually buy tier leather cars in Nigeria. I've never bought a tier leather car in Nigeria, so I'm speaking experience. So now they say you should check the mileage, and then you look at the mileage of maybe 100,000 kilometers, 100 million kilometers, 200,000 kilometers, and all that. And then we found out that apparently your car dealer can reset the timer, or he can reduce it, and then it will give you the illusion that the car is actually newer than what they are telling you. So maybe this car was 10 years ago. I know people that just drive their car 3 times in a year, and then I know people that drive their car every day. So if you drive your car every day, of course it's going to have more mileage than someone that drives his car lesser. So now imagine if that mileage system is actually connected to a blockchain. So that as you're driving it, every day or every 2 hours, it sends the information to a blockchain. Now, if you want to go and buy that car, you don't need to ask him how far, how much, how long has this car been driven. You just need to check the chassis number. It's like a serial number for cars. And then you go to the ledger and you see its actual mileage. So that way you know that, oh, Oga, you reset this thing now. I will call you EFCC or I will call you police. My Oga now, business. I have to drop for me money. Does that make sense? So that's like one of the practical examples of using blockchain. And currently, as I speak, they are actually implementing that in Germany. And then I think 2 generation cars from now, BMW and Benz will have something like that. Then imagine, let's go to universities and your certificates, for example. So we've heard stories where our politicians actually edit their certificate or modify it. Or when you hear, you go to the university and tell them, they'll tell you they can't find your file. Or they'll say, sorry, your results don't lost. Pay money, make us young. Or those rubbish like that. So now imagine if all the records of your results was being registered in a blockchain. Imagine if you get 5/20 in a test, the moment the examiner records it, no amount of money or bribe will allow him to change it, because it has gone to the blockchain and your parents from home can actually check your result. You get my point. It's scary, but then it's fun, right? I mean, I wouldn't want it, but I want it for my children. Yeah. So then let's take something else. Imagine voting. Voting is one of the most craziest, most interesting business case. I know friends that have made millions in voting simply because they have a polling unit, and then I don't know their names in case somebody calls me. But I've heard stories in quote where you go to a polling unit and they drop for you 2 million, and they drop for you gun and look you, and then you can't do anything. Just carry the money and lock up, and then they do their corruption. So now imagine everybody having a unique identity like a PVC. And by the way, get your PVC. I'm not voting, but I hope you guys vote. So imagine your PVC is more of like a blockchain ledger, and then the machine is a blockchain machine that writes on the Nigerian blockchain itself, Nigerian voting blockchain. And then the moment you vote, it's being recorded there. So now all this information and data, NIN, PVM, whatever, is being linked to your blockchain identity. So that way we'll have a truly transparent voting, because the day the voting ends, we already know the president. The day the voting ends, we already know the governor. Because of what? Everything is written on a blockchain. So this time, politicians will have to tell us the truth, have to do the campaign legitimately. They have to bribe us so that day we'll go and vote. And even on that day that we'll go and vote, I can vote for another person and keep your money. But to get the point. Another example. I gave this example the last time I was here. That's around insurance. Now, insurance is not a big deal in Nigeria, but insurance is a big deal in first world countries. Now, but then this is centered around, oh yes, I worked with a company a few years ago, and it's an agricultural company, and then Boko Haram attacked some of their farms, and then they had to apply to, I forgot one of these major insurance companies in Nigeria, and then major insurance companies delayed them for over 2 years before they gave them their money. Now with blockchain, that will not happen, in the sense that if I subscribe to your insurance package and you put in your money on a blockchain, let's say the blockchain states if certain issues happen, release this money to me. So now using data of, let's say, if there's like heavy rainfall that will destroy the crops, and then if the rainfall is above maybe 70%, whatever, release 1 million naira to this person. So I don't need to call the insurance company to tell them how far rain don't follow. Then they come and do their due diligence and come and say, oh God, I lie, rain no fall. Person talks, say rain no fall for here. Already the data is open source. Everyone knows the weather forecast. And now the weather forecast states that on so day rain is going to fall. And then if rain falls on that so day, automatically I will receive a alert of 1 million for an incident that already happened. So I don't need to call the insurance company, because blockchain has what? Taking care of the whole process for me. Let me tell you I'll round up with this. Imagine in processing, food processing. Now, let's say we don't import meat in Nigeria, but we sell. Let's assume, for example, we import apples. And then this particular batch of apples came to the country and it's bad. and or maybe it was infected. Now imagine if from the time of the produce, the apples were registered on a ledger, and then it got to Nigeria, it was registered on a ledger. Then all the people that it distributed to, it was written in a ledger. And then the moment we found out that okay, this is the infected, we can actually track all the people that it was distributed to, because what, it's on a blockchain. And guess what? Walmart and FedEx actually tried their implementation, and then they found out within 2 seconds they could track all the bad bits that were sent into the United States. Imagine United States is a very big country. They have 4 time zones. Meaning if I'm in Lagos is night, Kaduna will be afternoon, Kaduna will be morning. That's how big the country is. And then within 2 seconds, they could track every single item that was that had problem. So I'm not really going into the technical side. I just want to open everyone's minds to the possibilities of the blockchain. Now, everything you can do in Web 2, you can do it. So now, why it's not version control is because there's a overall server that can overall and can alter everybody's own. But this time, everyone has the same access as admin. So the only way that you can verify that is that there's a Genesis block that can never be altered. And then how it knows which one is real and which one is fake is that when 50.1%, 50.01% shows A, and then 40% shows B, you're going to reject B, accept A. So if you want to take control of a blockchain server, you need to control 50 point something %, and then you can alter the whole. Exactly.
For a while, what are the major challenges that blockchain developers face, and maybe advice for those that are willing to become blockchain developers?
Okay, so his question was, for those that want to start in blockchain, what advice should they know or things they should do? For me personally, I above the curve in the sense that right now blockchain is existent. I've moved from blockchain, although I still build on blockchain, but right now I'm building in the VR and AR because it's a new market. For me, I try to live 5 years in the future so that when everybody catch up, I'm already a professional in that market. So, but for those that are now entering blockchain, I would advise that you should have maybe a prior knowledge from Web 2. It's easier for those that are in Web 2 going to Web 3. But if you don't have that and you're still going straight to blockchain, I suggest you should start with Solidity. No, start with JavaScript. Then from JavaScript, you jump to Solidity. Then you choose a blockchain ecosystem that you want to partner with. I would really suggest that you go with one that are giving grants, because no better incentives than money. Bitcoin, we need more people in Bitcoin ecosystem because not a lot of people are building on the Light network. And currently, there's a grant of $100,000 for you to build on that. And that's something I'm going to just say. So look at all the blockchain projects going on. Look at those that are paying for you to build on them. And if you're comfortable with it, drive in. It's going to be difficult. It's hard. Believe me, it's hard. But it becomes easy when you start doing it, and becomes easy after a period of time. But if you're looking for the one that is easiest, just get a government work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, just a quick recap of what he said. He basically talked about the beginning of blockchain, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. If you were listening, he said Web 1 was read, Web 2 was read and write, Web 3 was read, write, and overwrite. He told us what blockchain was, gave us like what a distributed ledger is, explained some terms that are associated with blockchain, like the data hash, smart contract, proof of work, and he also gave us some use cases of the blockchain. If you have any questions, sorry we could not take all of your questions because of time. You can meet him after the program, or we can get his email for you if he'd be comfortable with that, and you can send him your questions. So we'll be introducing the next speaker now.
So whenever it comes to blockchain events like this, there's always really so much technical talk, and it feels like events like this are for developers alone. But the blockchain ecosystem is very large, and there are opportunities for everybody. So our next speaker that we are going to be inviting is going to be talking about technical writing in blockchain ecosystem. He is a blockchain developer and also a technical writer, and I feel that's like the best standing for him to talk about this. Let's welcome Lawal Abubakar Babatunde.
Hi everyone, I'm Lawal Abubakar Babatunde. I have been in the crypto space for 5 years. Initially as a trader, I've been trading. I'm an OG when it comes to trading. But then I thought about the technical part of the cryptocurrencies I've been trading. Then I decided to delve into the technical aspect of it. So I started developing actively early last year, but I have really caught up with the ecosystem. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Web3 and technical writing in Web3. I used to do freelance jobs in writing. So I know a bit about writing and technical writing in particular. So the previous speaker talked a lot about the evolution of the internet, moving from Web 1 to Web 2 and then Web 3. So there is no need for me to recap that, even though it's part of my slide. Sorry. Why they are trying to get the slide ready? So who is a writer? A writer is somebody who can break down seemingly complex ideas to the level that even a primary school student can understand. Like, we've been speaking technical terms. How can I explain these technical terms in a way that a layman can understand? Blockchain is handshake. The first person, then the next person, all till infinity. That's how we are connected. And that is what blockchain. You move from point A, connected to me, then connect to the next person, then the next person, the next person, the next person. Each person is a block. So that is the essence of technical writing. Explain technical terms in a way that people will understand. So, what are the things that you'll be working on? You'll be working on documents. You'll be working on blogs. You'll be working on articles as a technical writer. So what document will you be working on? You'll be working on documents that how to document, how to use blockchain. How do you get started with blockchain? How do you own Bitcoin? These are the things that you will be working on. And the thing is that writing is not really complex. In fact, there is a book written to back that up, and it is called Everybody Can Write. Like, all you just need to do is a method of education that I have adopted, which is imitation. You need to read as many content as possible, study how the person that wrote the content are writing their own content, and then imitate. There is nothing there you can write. It is no big. Any other seemingly, but before you write technical content, you need to delve into the ecosystem, understand the technology you'll be writing about. Without that, you may get started, but you will not move fast. So, please, the previous slide, please. So what are the stacks of Web3? There are protocols, libraries, tooling that you can study. You know, when they say protocol, let me bring it down back to layman. Protocol is just how we are doing it. How are we doing it? What is blockchain transaction? Banking system is a protocol. Like they send money from one bank to the other. But if you ask them, they might tell you IPPS or something. But it's just a protocol. Like the standard that they use to send money from one bank to the other. The same thing with protocol, with blockchain. All you need to do is understand this thing. Bring it down to layman. Protocol is how do we used to do it? How do we do it? Then the libraries. You know library, you go there to pick resources that you need for your studies. The same thing with libraries. They have simplified how you can understand protocols. That is what libraries are for. What about tooling? Every profession has their own equipment. So when you go to blockchain, there are toolings that will make your work effective. As a developer, there's something we call add art. Add art has already abstracted all the code that you need to develop a smart contract or launch your own blockchain project today. You study all these tooling. Then, how do you get started again as a technical writer? Let's assume that, yes, you believe that you can write, and now you want to proceed. You need to start contributing to open source documents. There are a lot of companies in Web3. You know, there is something about nascent or upcoming technology and crowd. When people realize you are making money in something or you are giving value with something, they definitely want to be part of that movement. There are several companies that are operating with Web3 technologies. And the beauty of blockchain or Web3, which is the buzzword, is that every code document are open sourced. So you can go to GitHub, check the document, check the code. You know, the easiest way to get started is just open GitHub account. Simple, anybody can do that. Then look at this project. The easiest thing you can do is to spot typo errors. Correct these typo errors, open a pull request. Once they merge it, you already have something to show that, yes, you are contributing to Web3. Go online, check these documents, and contribute to them. Another way is to start a blog. You know, almost everybody here has a TikTok account. The same way we can easily just one day wake up and decide to use our talk to create a content. It's the same way you need to write 1,500 words before you can say, okay, yeah, you are creating a blog. Short 200 words, 300, 500 words are enough for you to have a blog. And if you do not have money to even buy a domain, the easiest you can do is start publishing on Medium. I know, we all know Medium, right? Is there anyone here who has ever published on Medium? Of course. Awesome. So, you know, you can start publishing on Medium, publish on Akanoon, publish on Publish.org, a lot. There are several places you can put up a blog. And you know, the easiest thing is, okay, do you know how to write technical content? Yes, I do. Check out my blog. Then you start applying for jobs and internships. You do not need to have 3 years experience as a technical writer. In fact, you do not need 1 month experience as a technical writer before you start applying for internships. As I said earlier, the blockchain ecosystem is still new. So if anyone is telling, if anyone you need 2 years experience as a technical writer to get started, ask them when the blockchain gained mainstream recognition. So it's very recent. You can join now and start earning your money before the end of the year. Apply for internships, apply for jobs. There's nothing there. Okay. That is me on my way to join communities. Like, wait, this guy told me I can start any money before the year runs out. Oh boy, I'm going. Like, what? So simple. Yes, it is. I'm not lying to you. I got started in blockchain as a developer early last year. I'm already working as a developer, a blockchain developer right now, building awesome projects. So it's not a matter of somebody telling you you need 3, 4, 5 years experience before you can get a job in blockchain. No, you need just a day experience to get a job in blockchain. In blockchain, there is more emphasis on value, what you can give, than who you are. If you are a genius, you can learn everything I learned in 1 year within 1 day. You can get a job tomorrow. This is that simple. For you to get the exposure to jobs and internships, you need to join Web3 communities, just like the one you have right now. Apparently, if you did not join this kind of community, you will not have access to what the previous speaker and myself are talking about right now. So if there were to be an opportunity, these are the kind of places that you are going to get them. So then, how do you now become a okay, we said you can get a job, but how do you improve as a technical writer? The first thing you need to do, okay, read blogs. I've talked about that. Articles by other technical writers. Then read books. Books that teach how to write. One of them is Everybody Writes. It's so simple. Like, the content of the book is very engaging. You open it one day, the next day you are already creating content on TikTok, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, short content. Then docs for developers. This one, it's a bit technical, but not that technical. All you need to do is study this book. It explains how you are going to approach each equipment, protocol, library, and what have you that you have in technology. Then they ask, you answer. It is a very practical book. They don't need to ask. You need to assume their question and then answer before they ask. There are people that till today they will still ask you, what is Ethereum merge? Like, the merge took place sometimes last week, but you knowing that it was going to take place then, you could have written an article, a blog, explaining what it is in layman terms. Somebody asked me, what is Ethereum merge? And I told the person, it's just an upgrade. Like, we were moving with 1974 B2, and now we are driving a Range Rover. Before, we need electricity. We need people to use their computer for Ethereum to function. Now we do not. We only need their money. That is what Ethereum merge. We moved from people contributing their computer to ensure the continuous existence of the Ethereum to people only contributing their money to ensure that the system works. Do you understand Ethereum merge now? Like, that is how you explain stuff as a technical person, a technical writer. You bring it down to layman level. It might seem a bit complicated. Like, no, you oversimplified it. No, I did not. That is just what it is. From nodes all over the world operating to ensure there is what? Proof of work. To people staking their ETH to ensure there is what? Proof of stake. That is what it is. Then you will use, I'm not a native English speaker, obviously. As a Nigerian, there are times when your first language, mother language, might want to impede your writing ability. You use some tools to check it out. Grammarly is one of them. In fact, most time I'm now so reliant on Grammarly that I don't check for commas. Full stop. I let Grammarly do that for me. Then there's one called Quillbot. Quillbot is very fantastic. Yeah. When I used to churn out content, because not write, churn. When they expect you to write a whole lot of content within a very short period of time, then I use Quillbot. one thing that is certain that I used to tell myself is that there is nothing under this God sun that is new. Like everything you need to know, you need to write about, has either been written or talked about by someone else. So Quillbot allows you to rephrase content in another way. Ade is a rich man. Quillbot can tell you that a rich man called Ade, the same thing. If you supply 1,500 words to Quillbot, it will rephrase it for you within 2 minutes to a completely new statement that is completely or 89% different from the one you supply to it. One look reverse dictionary and thesaurus, which is a tool that you use to do what? To check for similar words or even phrases. When you have a content and then you want to check, okay, I don't want to express it this way. Which other word can I use? Just go to one look reverse dictionary. So as the other ones, Hemingway editor, the jargonizer, and what have you. Then the next slide. Okay. Just like Barack Obama, I will drop my mic, but before then, if you have any question. The e-book? Which one? Yeah, everybody write is free. One of the other skill of a writer is that you know how to find content, even if you are restricted. That book is free. All you need to do is attach PDF to your search query. Everybody writes .pdf. If you can't find it, go to pdfdrive.net. If you can't find it, just type PDF archive. And when you enter that website, search the name of any book you are looking for. You get it there for free. All right.
You didn't mention tools, or you didn't talk about like SEO writing and when it comes to being a Web3 technical writer and tools that people can use as an SEO writer.
SEO writing, especially, it is okay for you to be conscious of search engine optimized content. But when it comes to documents, like technical documents, you don't need to bother yourself with that. But if you're writing everyday blog, like everyday content, like, Bitcoin is expected to go to 1 million tomorrow, you should be conscious of SEO so that, when people search, your content may rank higher than others. There are a lot of SEO tools. I used to use Alexa. Yeah, I used to use Alexa. Then I use Keyword Pro. KeywordPro.io. Check KeywordPro.io. One of the skills of a writer is that you know when you are inserting high-ranking keywords into your content. Like high-ranking. You don't decide a keyword is high-ranking until you do your what? Keyword research. And how do you do keyword research? There are tools, a lot of them. Just Google search, keyword research tools. But one of them is KeywordPro.io.
I know it's supposed to be one question, but I have a question too. My question is, you mentioned something about absorbing the content of other writers, and I like the internet is such a wide space, and for you to find a particular place where you would see this content. So my question is, where can people who want to be blockchain writers, where can they go to easily see content around blockchain and Web3?
Okay, there are a lot of blockchain news platform. One of them is Cointelegraph. Yeah, Cointelegraph. Similar ones like Coins, Midget, or a lot of them. Afternoon, that is where you find deep content, deep technical content about blockchain. Cointelegraph is about everyday news in blockchain. But Afternoon, that is where you get a lot of deep technical content on blockchain. Even publish orgs too. You get a lot of them there.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So, would like to thank Mr. Lawal Abubakar Babatunde for this session. Okay, is there any question? Okay, so we have one last question.
Thank you, Lawal, for your delivery. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm particularly interested in this area. I want to find out about you talking about imitating other people's work. I want to know if international laws of plagiarism do not apply in Web3. Thank you.
Yeah, plagiarism is actually when you copy word for word, comma by comma, and the rest. But when I say imitate, like you study the person, it is not only the way, it's not only the ways that you study, the way they write their content. You know, content writing is also technical. Some rules will tell you you are not supposed to write more than 3 lines in a paragraph to make it engaging. You understand? That is what I'm referring to. Imitate. Look at the way they are writing their engaging content. Now, you will notice that I used memes in my presentation. I discovered that a lot of content I have been enjoying these days featured memes. Because it's what? It's a trend. The moment you are scrolling down and you notice a meme, you want to see what it is. So that is what I'm talking about, the imitation. You look at their style, not directly their content. In fact, from their content, you can have an idea, not that you are supposed to copy word for word and then produce that as your own content. That is copyright.
So, because of time constraints, we'll not be able to take your question, but okay, so.
Thank you very much. She actually asked my first question concerning plagiarism, but the second question I have is, for people who might be interested, I'm a writer as well, but for people who may be interested in actually learning technical writing, can you give them some platforms they can easily go to learn, both maybe online or offline?
Yeah. Learning technical writing, the first thing I mentioned here is that you need to understand Web3 stacks. Now, one simple platform is called Learn Web3 DAO. LearnWeb3DAO.io. There, you will see a lot of content that explain what blockchain is to a beginner. From beginner, they have like 4-5 classes. Beginner, junior, senior, and more. So these are places that you can go to read about technical writing or to learn Web3 stacks. But you said you are a writer. You do not really need to go and sit down and start learning how to write. So all you need to do is check Medium, check Canon. As a Web3, when I was writing, in fact, I didn't know what I know today in blockchain. All I used to do is once I come across a concept, I Google search it. 4 or 5 lines is enough for me to understand what it is doing. I'm not writing for technical users. I'm writing for laymen. So once I understand it, I break it down into the language that the layman will understand. Technical users know where they go to read their technical content.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Just to do a quick recap of what our last speaker just talked about, he talked about the ability of writers to break down really complex stuff into stuff everyday people can understand. And that's very, very important because it creates a lot of opportunities because many people do not understand what's going on in the blockchain. They just keep on hearing cryptocurrency, NFT, and writers are needed to break this down for everybody to understand. So he also talked about how to become a Web3 technical writer. That's understanding the Web3 stack, contributing to project documentation, and he gave several resources which you can make use of, like Grammarly, Quillbot, Medium, Learn Web3 DAO, and several online platforms. So without further ado, we would love to introduce our next speaker, who would be speaking on design.
So we've talked about coding, developing in Web3. We've talked about writing on the blockchain. We're going to now talk about design, and we are going to be introducing our resident product designer, Omar Salihu, to come and talk to us about designing on the blockchain.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good, is it morning or afternoon? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Umar. I'm a product designer. I'm a product designer. I have a background in architecture and graphic design. Then I transitioned into product design, UI UX. And here I am when Web3 came up. I was pretty much interested in Web3, so my name is not Umar Yusuf. Thank you. Web3, it's kind of fascinating, right? But when I started getting into Web3, I had this problem. I find it difficult to understand the technicalities of things, right? Which was why the creative part of F11. Sorry. Yeah, I find it kind of hard, not really hard per se, but if there is a simpler way to break down things, that is what I'm going for. A simpler way to break down things. So you've heard all the speakers speak about blockchain, the whole smart contract, EVM, you've heard all the technicalities, right? But now, the thing with tech is developers, PMs, designers, we all get so engulfed in the design process or in the development that we forget we're actually designing for people. We're actually designing for the market woman. We're actually designing for the mechanic or the bureau de change guy that doesn't know anything about tech. He just wants to make sure once he sends money, he receives it, right? So what I'll be talking about today is transitioning into Web3 as a designer, the principles you need to focus on while transitioning to Web3, and these key things you need to look out for when you use dApps. All right, so back a bit. Yeah, we're gonna start from there, yeah. So, thanks. So the evolution of the internet, right? Victor has already spoken a lot about that. We started from Web 1. We are currently in Web 2 and trying to transition into Web 3. Now, while transitioning to Web 3, it does not mean that we are going to let go of Web 2. It's still going to be part and parcel of us, right? So we are pretty much carrying the principles of Web 2 into Web 3. So Web 1, it was when we had the www, the Yahoo burst, where you just come online and you just view things, no interaction, right? Then we got into Web 2, which is the platform economy. We interact, we create, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we communicate with people. And now we got into the token economy, which is the Web 3. It aims to solve the monopolistic nature of the Web 2. So you can't tell Twitter CEO what to remove or what not to remove if they decide they don't want to remove it. But in a decentralized platform, the power is to the people. All right. So what does this mean for design? So the way I see design, right, is design is the bridge between technology and the user. The technology is there on its own, right? It has the technicalities, the backends, the spare parts that makes a system works. Then we now have the user. The user that is supposed to use this technology, that they are not tech savvy, they are not technically equipped to understand these systems. So design comes in as a bridge that helps translate that technology to the user using different means. Yes, so to understand certain Web3 design principles, I'm picking 3 out of them to talk about because these are the most important principles in Web3. The first is educating users through design. The second is establishing trust, and third is irreversibility. I had issues with irreversibility, but let's talk about education. So, educating users through design. This is when, as anybody, I'm sure most of you are Web3 enthusiasts, so you've used MetaMask, you must have used Binance. So the onboarding process, is there anybody that has not used Binance here? Coinbase, Trust Wallet, perfect, so almost everybody has used that. So while you're onboarding users into Web3, yeah, you need them, because they are not used to the platform, because it's a new technology, you need to be able to find methods to educate users while they are coming into the system. So you need to let them know, oh, there are certain things that we do differently here. You don't just use login and sign up and sign in. You need to have key codes. You need to have various things. That is education through the platform. So how do you educate users through the Web3? So first off, you connect users back to what they already know in order to help them bridge the gap. This is the part where you don't talk about technicalities. You try to let me say emotional intelligence. You connect people with what they are drawn to. So rather than tell somebody that, oh, this platform is a decentralized platform that's going to help you, you try to explain to them in a more appealing way so that they can actually feel a certain kind of emotion towards that system so they can use it. So the best example I can give is an ad by MetaMask when they came out. I'd like to play that ad so people can go back. So please, kindly listen to this ad, and I'll ask just one question afterwards.
This is Sam. Sam uses the internet just like the rest of us. Lots of apps she uses seem to be free, but they actually come at a cost. She knows the internet isn't very secure and strangers own her data. Credit cards are stolen, identities get hacked. She needs to navigate a maze of ads just to surf the web, and she knows someone is always watching. But she's heard there's a better way, and then Sam sees it. The promise of a new internet powered by the Ethereum blockchain, an amazing combination of technologies the world is building together that are reinventing how we connect to one another, and it's just within her reach. But to access this new world, she needs the right tools. MetaMask is the tool she needs to access this new world. It's a key that connects her to new types of applications. It's a wallet that keeps her data and valuables safe and secure. And it's a shield that protects her from hackers and data predators. With MetaMask, Sam is ready to explore this new internet safely and securely. The possibilities are endless. Sam can use next-generation applications that give control back to the users and the community, own her data, and move seamlessly between sites, and send money across the world at a fraction of the cost. Create new organizations with new currencies that bind her communities together. Crowdsource projects and art, invest in other people's creations. Sound too good to be true? Well, with great freedom comes great responsibility. Sam controls her own identity on this new internet. No more new passwords for every site she visits. Just a secret phrase that controls her accounts. This phrase is her login, her password, and her proof in one. So Sam has to keep it as safe as she possibly can. Now that she's installed MetaMask, Sam's ready to explore the best version of the internet. Vote, crowdfund, buy stuff, publish writing, make art, hire freelancers. What will Sam do first? Whatever she wants. The internet is hers to explore. Welcome to a new kind of internet.
Thank you. Just one question. How many technical terms did we hear while listening to this video? And
Mask is a piece of software that interacting with any block.
how many technical terms did anybody hear? Absolutely none, right? So MetaMask, we all know what MetaMask is. You're supposed to, like, they are making an ad for people. Yes? Metaverse. Okay, you heard Metaverse there. Okay, that is one. Perfect. I also had decentralized, right? So the point is, it's a 2-minute video, and they try to speak to the emotions of people. They started with the pain points, how you try to log in and you have certain issues, and then this is what MetaMask is going to do for you. So bringing people, like getting people more attached language down. Like my entire focus speech today is try and reduce the technical jargon so people can understand, because you are not designing for the development